back again. I was gonna make this video like a half an hour ago, but I had to eat, so I am making it now. It's 2:30, and just in case someone calls, I turn my cell phone off, the sound. And if you're wondering what I ate, by any chance, I ate mustard greens, and I put a whole shitload of olive oil in it, and I fry it with like parsley. Clearly I don't know how to cook very well. And then I usually take just frozen fried fish, which I tend to purchase a lot, and my boyfriend brought me some white rice, so I normally don't like plain white rice, so of course I deep fry it in olive oil, and then the fish is fried, and then I put some macadamia nuts on it and some seaweed, and that's how I eat. Just in case you're curious, but as old as I look, you would think I've gone through hell and back. But it's just because I think more than most people, or I guess more than most people, I inhale a lot of toxins living in this apartment, so that's why I don't exactly look like I'm 16. Let's just say that. Maybe with the camera, but regardless. This video is kind of one I felt like I needed to make regarding my life situation and why I do what I do, and why it makes me happy, I guess. So I'll start off by saying that I am not a newbie in the working environment, so I'm about 26 now, but I've been hired, employed by probably, or I would say I've been hired, employed about maybe 10 times in my life and so, I mean, it's not like I haven't done a lot in my life. I have, but I've also been to community college for a long time. Then I went to a university for about a semester, got out of that, and then went back to community college for a really short, brief time, and now I'm here. I've been working here for much more than a year, but not 2 years fully yet. Has the time gone by fast? Yeah, I mean, I think it's gone by pretty fast. So that's one thing I'm really grateful about. And that is part of the reason why I live here, because, to be honest, I'm all about kind of time moving quickly, and I'm not going to say that I'm about live fast, die young, but, you know, and I'm not going to say that I want exactly, I don't really want anything like tragic to happen to me, but having time go by quickly is part of my agenda. So So, what other reasons? As I've already said before, I'm a bit of a feminist, so I think that's quite obvious. Yeah, I think about that all the time. I think about how it's kind of wrong. I think about how others suffer from feminists. I think about how others suffer because, whether right or wrong, and it's not anybody's fault that a feminist thinks and reacts the way they do towards men. Of course, not all men, and honestly, I'm not an extreme feminist, but I would say that there are definitely reasons why, besides maybe a slight jealousy factor, why I don't really like men, and I don't really love being a woman anyways, so that might also be a part of the reason why. Regardless, I lived with my father a long time before I moved here, and I'll be straight up honest, you know, we had a lot of differences, and although I did notice that he has a lot of stress on his plate, I also took into account that he's living his life and I'm living mine, and we just didn't, of course, yeah, it wasn't awful, but I'm not gonna say that it was anywhere near peaceful, because it really wasn't. And so that's part of the reason why I live here. It's not about vanity, it's not about making money. Of course, there's a reason why I'm so attached to making money, and I'll get to that. But, you know, what else is there to say? I mean, that's pretty much everything, really, when it comes down to it. I want to live alone. You know, I know it's kind of dangerous, but I'm very careful, and I take into consideration that I'm not always going to be respected for it, and I'm not always going to be happy because of it, but it seems better than having to go through the misery of living with a parent who doesn't exactly see eye to eye with you. And so that's why I live here. That's why I've made money here for as long as I have. And I'm pretty frugal. I'm pretty frugal, and it's not that I'm attached to money per se. It does give me a lot of security, feeling like I've accomplished something that really actually kind of stands true to my values, because I see how a capitalist system works for people. I see its pros and I see its cons, but I see how a capitalist system can also work in the benefit of kind of people that do want to pretty much be able to feel secure in the fact that everybody is kind of free to do as they choose. And since we all respect the capitalist framework for what it kind of, for the simplicity that it really is, we can all come to an agreement that as long as there are people that are willing to sacrifice for it, that we're going to basically take care of ourselves and take care of the one or two or however many people that you love or you want to take care of or you can. And I think it's great. Like, I think that's great. I don't think that its pros really outweigh its cons, unless you're in power, which I'm not, but unless you're in control, which I'm not, but all influential people aside, I think that we can respect the people in power based on the fact that we're getting at least what we need, and what we want, without really even having to put much effort into it, since we are not in power, since we are not famous, since we are not living broke on the streets and not giving a fuck or whatnot. And so yeah, I mean, I think that it does cause a lot of stress on people. I'm going way off tangent because I was meaning to talk about why I moved, and then I went off tangent. So yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, so I mean, I think that comparing people to others is part of like my thing. So I mean, I can see why people use their free time, and why it's most easy and most beneficial and really what you should do. Use your free time to kind of think about like where you are, what you've done, where your heart is, kind of, in a sense, and what you're willing to sacrifice, what you aren't, who you'd sacrifice for, who you wouldn't. And I think that, like, in the current situation that I'm in, being selfish is really the only kind of thing that really inspires me, because when we live in an environment where where there is such plentiful resources, and no, there's not as many jobs, and I understand people sometimes hate their jobs. Maybe some people are gonna live longer than others because of karma or something like that. I don't know. Who knows why people end up in the places that they do. What I do have a problem with, however, is I do have a problem with I have a problem with the fact that people hide things from each other. People have secrets that they don't tell. And or they lie or whatever. I have a problem with that. I mean, I don't know, relationships seem to be like such an important thing in this Western place we live in. I mean, it's amazing how we're so concerned over relationships and love and kids and family and tradition and all this when in other countries they're still trying to figure out, like, they just don't have near the amount of freedom that we have here. And so, I mean, it kind of brings you back to saying, like, okay, is what I'm doing right or wrong? I mean, like, and so anyways, I feel like what I'm doing is right, and I'd like to say that other people would say that what I'm doing is right, but I feel as though they're sensing that I'm trying to get to a place above inequality when I was probably already equal to them when I was living without a job with my dad and kind of just lost. And I mean, I know I'm just one person here, but I'm sorry that I would say that I'm a bit lucky in a way. But I really sure as hell hope that people kind of respect the fact that I'm probably not going to live here as long as they are anyways, so what they're getting out of it is equal to what I'm getting out of it in respect to the future. So, I mean, it's almost as if I'm being catered to, I'm living kind of a Paris Hilton sort of life. Not 100%, but a little bit. And the reason for that is not Paris Hilton's reason, which is she basically has parents that were already wealthy, already successful in the times when life was easier, and gave bloom to two beautiful daughters who benefited off of that. I mean, it's just a luck. And sometimes it makes me wonder, like, although I know she sacrifices even, we all sacrifice every day. I know Paris Hilton sacrifices, even though people think, some people hate her because they think she's dumb or she's whatever, spoiled. But maybe there's a reason for that, and it makes me kind of sad how people can't really, like, accept others' kind of fortunes or others' kind of fate when, who knows, like, there's a chance that Paris Hilton might have some kind of, if somebody is jealous of her and wants her life, maybe there is some kind of, really, like, a reason behind it that we don't know. Like, maybe, I mean, I know she's probably, like, 7 years older than me? 8 years? I don't know. But, I think that the reason why, I mean, people like things that are grand, that are interesting, that are powerful. I mean, powerful, yeah, that's the word you'd want to use, because who's gonna worship someone with no power? Who's going to give people attention with no power? They could still be happy, but nobody's gonna be throwing them, you know, it's just not gonna happen. So, she's not like the smartest broad who's super wealthy, and I respect that. I'm kind of like that too, so good for her. I mean, she sacrifices, and I think that's great. Like, she has dogs that she takes care of, and she's very, you know, like, there's plenty of good things about her. I don't know why people are so hard on people for not being smart enough, for not being, you know, not having gone to college and everything, when I don't see why we have to, like, put others down for having certain abilities, having certain traits over others. I mean, I know for myself, I can say that I have sort of an alter ego. So there's this pretty girl with this soft voice and everything, but there's a whole different side to me that's dirty and raw and off the wall and crazy and, like, just different than what I experience every single day. Both sides of me are fine. It's just that I've never really felt the need to let go of the image that I carry with me. I've never felt like that was something that I should be doing, so I just don't. And it's not that I wouldn't, but what I do works for me, and that's why I moved here, because I wanted to be away from my dad, who had a different kind of life path, she's just different, and I wanted to be free of that, and even if it cost me whatever it cost me. And it's not that I don't like my dad, it's not that I don't like my mom, it's just that it's not that I don't like men or women or anything, it's just I can find the most peace having a small job, having my daily routines, even though a lot of people don't accept them. And yes, I'm picky, yes, I'm anal retentive a little, and ADD. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have plenty of flaws, but I mean, you know, I just want to let it be known that I'm not really doing this for the money per se, and if anything happens to me, all of the money that I made, all of the things that I own would go to somebody who wants it. And if nobody wants it, obviously it's probably going to go in the trash. But the money that I have would go to, if anything were to happen to me, if I was to get cancer or whatever, all the money that I have would go to either my parents or it would go to the maintenance guy that works here where I live, or the manager that lives here. And I'm not going to sacrifice anything else. Like, I'm not going to hang out with the manager, I'm not going to hang out with the maintenance guy, I'm not going to be anything more than just friendly, because I'm kind of a business-minded individual. Not entirely, but yeah, I'm pretty direct. I'm pretty straightforward, and so you get what you get with me. But I do have a good heart, and I do have good intentions. So, and it's not like I hate, excuse me, it's not like I hate people. I don't. It's just that I was born with a complex where I must be secure within myself. I must, like, have this bubble around me where it's, like, all mine. Like, I mean, I'm a bit of a queen that way, so pardon me for that, but that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if you don't like it, sorry. That's all I gotta say. Peace.